who are also unemployed. And we see this as a core responsibility of the government. The implementation of the Social Relief of Distress Grant that was introduced during our most difficult period, COVID, has been one of the important achievements of this administration. It has lifted millions of South Africans above the food poverty line at a time of great economic disruption due to COVID-19. And it has made a significant difference in the lives of a number of people in our country. Social grants support economic growth from the bottom up. It enables business activity, it strengthens social solidarity and stability. And according to research that's been published, approximately 50% of the purchases that are made by the grant recipients buy food. Informal traders in various parts of the country have reported to researchers that the SRD grant stimulated customer spending, provided capital to purchase stock and enable new businesses to be initiated. The grant will be maintained, as we have announced, until March 2024, while the economy continues to recover from the impact of the pandemic. Various options are being explored, taking into account affordability, financing options, and the efficacy in addressing poverty. We're looking at how do we move beyond the SRD grant. There have been calls for the basic income grant to be introduced in our country, which will support a number of people, and that is being considered. There is concerted effort within government to link current beneficiaries to various economic opportunities such as skills development, sustainable livelihood programs, and job creation initiatives. Some of them expanded public works program and the presidential employment stimulus, in addition to partnerships with the private sector to increase opportunities for the unemployed to access other sources of income. South Africa already provides extensive social security support through grants that reach more than 46% of the population. As we work to build the economy and create employment, we remain committed to find appropriate mechanisms to support all those people who need assistance from the state within our available resources. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable President. The first follow-up question will come from Honourable Nyambi.
Thank you, Mamas. Thank you, Chairperson. Thanks, President, for your elaborate answer. Honorable President, as we have repeatedly said, the fight against hunger, poverty, and unemployment cannot be won unless we grow the economy and create employment. This brings into sharp focus two interrelated questions, Honorable President. First, what policy measures have or is government considering to put in place to incentivize the acceleration and sustainability of growth of SMME? That's the first part. Whether there is any integrated government-wide system to monitor and track the beneficiaries of the SRD grant who get absorbed in various sectors of our economy. Thank you, Honorable President.
Honorable President.
Thank you, Chairperson. Of course, we've often said that in the end, what will deal more effectively with poverty and inequality and unemployment in our country is the creation of jobs and growing investments. But in the course of doing so, government itself is embarking on a number of initiatives to support small, medium enterprises, as well as to support small farmer people throughout the country, particularly in the rural areas. We are setting up a fund, which I announced during SONA, where we will get the private sector and the public sector to contribute money. We do already have a number of other assistant measures, including funds, that are dispersed. And the good thing is that a number of provinces have been embarking on a number of initiatives themselves through the allocation that they get in supporting small, medium enterprises. And I can think of a number of provinces, Gauteng, KZN, and Eastern Cape, and a number of others. They themselves have started many initiatives to support small, medium enterprises, and these are incentives. And the support to small, medium enterprises in the end is not only in the form of money or funds, it's also in the form of opening up markets, giving them opportunities and opening all those opportunities for them to be able to trade and to produce and sell their products. We are, through the SRD process, obviously looking at a future which will enable us to be able to track those who are beneficiaries, where they end up. As it is now, the fund, as we said, was introduced during COVID, and it was really as an immediate assistance measure. And as we move forward, we should be able to put in place tracking systems that will be able to see how those people who are being assisted are able to get skills, are able to become entrepreneurs, are able to get permanent jobs, and all those processes will be put in place properly. Right now, yes, that system isn't in place because this is a new grant, and as we move forward, looking at a future where there will be more permanent assistance, we should be able to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We'll now proceed to a follow-up question from Honorable Parker.
Thank you, Chairperson. Mr. President, on Tuesday in this House, the ANC used its majority to force through the second adjustment appropriations bill, giving more money to public servants, to political parties, and to failed state-owned enterprises. A substantial portion of their money to fund this came from savings made in the Social Development Department. Specifically, monies that were budgeted for the SRD grant and not paid out. Mr. President, your ANC government is taking 3.7 billion from people living in poverty to fund the elaborate state structures that feed the ANC and its top employees. Mr. President, how will you, in good conscience, sign this bill into law? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable President.
We always sign bills in good conscience because those bills that come, the bills that finally come to the President's desk are bills that have gone through the National Assembly and the NCOP. So, in that regard, the President doesn't take any chances. He does so on good advice of members who are elected to represent our people here. So with that, we do it with a good conscience, If, however, we find that a bill is either unconstitutional, we send it to the Constitutional Court. So that is the answer to your question, dear delegate and member. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We'll proceed to a supplementary question or follow-up question from the EFF, Honorable Mletane. Is he virtual or is not in the city? And that being the case, it seems as if Honorable Mletane is not here. We'll proceed to a follow-up question from the IFP, Honorable Cadre.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Your Excellency, Honorable President, with reference to the IMF's projections that spending on temporary welfare grants could contribute to the Republic's budget deficit widening to 6.5% of GDP in the fiscal year, would the government regard it as sustainable that this welfare grant continues to be offered, given the warning by the IMFs? Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. As I said, we are considering a number of options, and we are considering a number of views. And the views that we take into account obviously come from our own people, from organizations that represent our people, and of course, we will also listen to the views that are expressed by financial institutions as well. So all these matters are currently under consideration. Our people are living in poverty. Our people are unemployed. And as I said initially, that is a primary consideration that we have to have in mind. But at the same time, so as not to be reckless, we have to look at everything that we do within our affordable means. And we need to look at that. So it's a balance that we then have to have. Caring for our people, which this government has demonstrated over and over and over again. That is why so much of our budget goes to the social wage, if you like. And in considering this temporary assistance measure, we've taken that into account. And as we look at a future where we've got to support our people who are poor, who are unemployed, we will also take into account a whole number of factors, including the level of the deficit that we have to look at, and including whether we have to borrow more money or not. So those are matters that are being discussed at the moment. And we will find an answer. And happily, we will probably find an answer with the participation of everyone here, including yourself, Honorable Member. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The next question is question number 2. This question is on implementation of the framework. The question comes from Honorable A.S.O. Camp and is directed to the President. Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. In the State of the Nation address on the 9th of February this year, we committed to the full implementation of the national framework towards professionalizing the public sector. Among other things, the framework has been introduced to ensure that only ethical, qualified, and competent individuals are appointed into positions of authority. The framework lays down clear requirements for recruitment and selection processes, mandatory induction for new public servants, and performance management. It also prioritizes continuous learning so that the skills and capabilities of public servants are always improving. The framework will help to do away with undue interference, the violation of public procurement rules, or the favoring of certain private sector interests as happened during the era of state capture. The framework will also bring greater stability in the senior leadership of the public service. Whatever internal processes when it comes to the appointment of people, what you characterize as cadre deployment, just like the DA's practice of vetting candidates for employment in DA-led municipalities, which continues to happen. Whatever internal processes political parties undertake, we are clear that the merit principle must apply in public sector appointments based on legislated prescripts and in line with the minimum competency standards. We're taking steps to professionalize the public service across all spheres of government to ensure that the right people are in the right positions, that they are held accountable, and that they are empowered to provide the best possible service to the people of South Africa. To support this effort, we are undertaking skills audits in all infrastructure and service departments. These audits will help us understand where critical skills do exist in these departments to effectively deliver infrastructure and services. The National School of Government will work with other organs of the state, like the Human Sciences Research Council, to conduct these audits. The adoption and implementation of the framework gives renewed momentum to the drive that commenced with the start of this administration to build a public sector that is ethical, professional, and efficient. The framework should be welcomed by the country's public servants as an important tool for their own progression as they work on the front line to deliver to the promise of a better life for every South African. And this is how they too will be able to put our people first through the Batubele principle that is widely accepted in government service. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We'll proceed to the supplementary question from Honorable Okamp.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Good afternoon, Honourable President.
Good afternoon.
Honourable President, in the report of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into State Capture, in short the Zondo Commission, Chief Justice Raymond Zondo said that cadre deployment is unconstitutional and illegal. In Part 6 of the report, Chief Justice Zondo stated that there is no reason for the ANC's deployment committee to exist. Your own cabinet last year decided that it will stop the implementation of cadre deployment. Now, Honourable President, in light of your answer now, as well as of the Zondo report and your own cabinet's decision in this regard, would you now agree that cadre deployment is unconstitutional and in line with your oath of office to protect the Constitution? Would you withdraw your opposition to the DA's application in the High Court, in which the DA seek to get the court to declare cadre deployment as unconstitutional? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. The case that you're talking about is a party political case. It's not a case against the state. So the DA has launched a case against the African National Congress, and those matters must be left between the court, the African National Congress, and the DA, and they should sort it out. As I have said before, and which I have repeated now, and by the way, I do want to remind you that, as I said at the Zondo Commission, I did outline what political parties do. And I also did outline what the DA also does. As I have said just a minute ago, that the DA in the places where they lead government, they go through their own appointment process. They do that, they vet candidates and so forth. Now, there is nothing wrong with a political party doing that, provided, as I have said, appointments are based on merit. Merit has to be the determining factor. If the person is able to do the job, and to do the job better than any other candidate, I would say precisely what the DA does. There's really nothing wrong with that. If there are other considerations, that we are appointing you because you've either got a pretty face, or we are appointing you because you belong to a particular party or belong to a particular group, then there is everything wrong with that. Appointments must be based on ability to do the work. And that is why we've introduced this framework, to professionalize the public service and to make sure that the right people are appointed in the positions that they will occupy to serve our people. I hope that satisfies you. We leave the other matter between the DA and the ANC out of this debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now proceed to the next follow-up question from Honorable Muima from the ANC.
Ke a leboga modulasetulo wa ntlo ya bosetšhaba ya kgolo ya di-province. Thank you, President, for indeed reminding the House that the professionalization of the public service is an ongoing policy agenda of government in pursuit of its constitutional imperative of building an ethical, capable, and developmental state, and that professionalization, as I've correctly pointed out, is an ongoing program as it is correctly captured in Section 195 of the Constitution, which binds the public sector to certain values. But more than that, President, even the National Development Plan has identified the development of technical and specialist professional skills in the public service as one of the critical solutions required for a capable and developmental state. Now, the question that I want to pose to the President is, in line of the commitment by government, by national government to professionalize state, what measures are in place to ensure that there is synergy across all three spheres of government and across all three arms of government? Thank you, National Chair. Thank you, President.
Thank you very much, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. This is a framework that we've decided to introduce, and it's got a number of elements. One of those is to start off with a skills audit, just to find out what skills we have in the state. And following that, we'll then be able to upskill people, to skill them a lot better than where they are now. And this, we have found, is something that is so welcomed by public servants, because everyone wants to advance in their job, they want to do their job better. But beyond that, we're also working on the framework so that we integrate the processes of, say, appointment, interviewing processes, auditing of skills throughout the length and the breadth of government. All the spheres of government needs to be properly synchronized so that when the framework fully kicks in, we have a uniform system that will be able to give line of sight to everyone who is in the public service precisely what is expected of them as we professionalize the public service. And professionalizing the public service is really, in the end, to ensure that we upskill those who are in the public service so that they can give our people the proper service. That's why we're starting with the frontline desk people in infrastructure and services, and then we are going to extend it much broader. It will take time, as you correctly say. It's not a one-day event. It will take time. We've got 1.2 or so million workers in the public service, but it is something that we're implementing with a great deal of earnestness and seriousness. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The third supplementary question comes from the EFF Plus, Honorable De Bruin.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. It's a FF plus.
FF Plus.
Honourable President, with reference to the approval of the Cabinet on 19 October last year to implement the national framework towards the professionalisation of the public sector and the policy directives to do away with cadre deployment. Honourable President, what known damages as a result of cadre deployment was recorded, and what was the impact thereof that led to this decision? Thank you.
I didn't hear the full question towards the end, Honourable
Yes.
Chairperson.
If you can just repeat the last part of your question.
My question was, Honourable President, what was the known damages as a result of cadre deployment that was recorded, and what was the impact thereof that led to this decision by the Cabinet last year?
Honourable President.
Thank you. Governments all over the world always seek to improve the level of services that public servants offer to their people. And so we are not embarking on a new journey in professionalizing the public service. Through the audit process that I outlined, we're going to be able to find out whether people are well deployed or are in the right positions and they've got the right skills. As it is now, we've often said that we want to improve the capability of the state. And improving the capability of the state is a statement that tells us that our capability has gone down, and we therefore need to improve the professionalization of the state so that people who are working in the state can serve the people of South Africa better. So it is informed by what we have observed over years, that we've got to improve the way that we serve our people. And as I say, many, many governments go through that. And they renew themselves, they upscale the services that public servants should give to our people. And we have admitted that there have been positions which were occupied by people who were not as skilled as they should be, who were not as proficient as they should be. That we have admitted, and that has not served the people of South Africa well. And that is why we have embarked on the professionalization of the public service, with a view of improving the level of services that public servants will offer to the people of South Africa. So it's a wide-ranging process. It's not only limited to certain areas. And the audit process, which is giving us the opportunity to look at the weaknesses that are inherent in our government system, is something that should be welcomed by everyone, because it is going to enable us to lift the level of services to the people of South Africa. And it is also going to be beneficial, as I said, to public servants themselves. Because as we find that people are not as proficient and as well skilled as they should be, we're not going to throw them out. We're going to retrain them, upskill them, reskill them, so that they are able to perform the duties that they should perform for our people. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honourable President. We'll then proceed to the last follow-up question. And this supplementary question comes from the EFF. EFF. Now, it doesn't seem like there is a person from the EFF on the platform, and that being the case, we'll proceed to the next question. The next question is question 3. This question is on the impact of load shedding on service delivery. The question is from B.N. Ndongeni, and this question is directed to the President. Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable members, load shedding, as I've often said, has an impact on nearly every aspect of our lives as South Africans, at a social level, at an economic level, and in many, many other ways. And it impacts on areas that are so important. It affects everyone, from large firms to small businesses and households and our people generally, making it more difficult to work, to study, to produce goods, and it impacts also on health. Our primary focus is on reducing the severity and frequency of load shedding through a range of interventions that are being coordinated by the National Energy Crisis Committee. Earlier this month, I appointed a Minister of Electricity to lead this effort. Among the priorities announced in the State of the Nation address is to address the impact of load shedding on different sectors of society and the economy. This includes ensuring the continuity of basic services, particularly to the poor in our country. Work is underway to ensure that critical facilities are excluded from load shedding, where the network configuration allows for this and where it is feasible to do so, without increasing the risk of higher stages of load shedding. And these include areas such as commuter rail infrastructure, bulk water systems, facilities that are essential to the production of energy. Many of our public health facilities, including hospitals and community health centers, have backup power supply systems, which include generators, and this should reduce disruptions to service provision. Furthermore, the Department of Health has been working with Eskom and municipalities to do everything they can to exclude health facilities from load shedding where possible. As many as 77 hospitals have been exempted to date. Eskom has identified a further 46 hospitals which can be excluded from load shedding with additional infrastructure. The two parties continue to work together to establish possible solutions to be implemented to exempt more hospitals. We will continue to explore ways of preventing the disruption of basic services and reducing the impact of load shedding as we work to achieve energy security. Ultimately, Chairperson, the best way to address the impact of load shedding is to reduce its severity and frequency. This is why we continue to implement the Energy Action Plan to fix Eskom's power stations, to reduce demand and to add new generation capacity as quickly as possible. Now, this work is underway. The Minister of Electricity has visited a number of power stations, and he's been having deep discussions, not only with managers, but with workers, as well as trade unions and engineers. And through this, we should be able to see the light, literally the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm hoping that this is an initiative that will lead to less and less load shedding. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much. The first supplementary question will come from Honorable Ndongeni.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, President. Honorable President, Whilst we welcome the medium to long-term intervention of government in addressing the electricity crisis, as you have outlined them, the life experience of our people demonstrate that electricity crisis, especially daily power outage and blackouts in many communities, are not necessarily due to load shedding, but disruption of power supply due to illegal connection, vandalism, and destruction of critical electrical infrastructure by criminal syndicates. Here is my question, President. The fundamental question that therefore arises is, what plans is government intending to put in place to forge partnership between the law enforcement agencies, private security sector, and communities in order to mount an effective and integrated security of the critical electrical infrastructure? Ngiyakhenza.
Thank you very much, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Naminana Keynes. Many efforts are underway to deal with precisely the problem that you have outlined: illegal connections, vandalism, and destruction of our infrastructure by either individuals as well as syndicates. And we've set up teams in our law enforcement agencies that are currently working at all this. And quite a lot of progress is being made to pinpoint some of those who are, through syndicate activity, involved in all this. And the vandalization also happens, and illegal connections. And this requires, as you correctly say, partnerships that we should forge between our law enforcement agencies, together, yes, with our communities, as well as, yes, private security entities as well. But more importantly, the communities are the eyes and the ears of our people as a whole. And they are the ones who often know who is involved in illegal connections, who is involved in vandalizing our infrastructure. So those efforts are underway, and we are making breakthroughs. A number of people are being arrested now as we speak. Our South African Police Service is making very good progress in this regard, and we will continue to unearth those types of syndicates that are involved in the destruction of our infrastructure. So we're not sitting back and doing nothing. We are involved through our various agencies, from intelligence to criminal intelligence, as well as South African Police Service, working together with a number of entities, including the private sector and including ESCOM itself. So we are making progress, and what you are saying about building those partnerships is absolutely essential, because it is through these partnerships that we are making more and more progress as we move forward. And thank you very much for highlighting this. I have often raised the issue of illegal connections as well. And I've often urged our people to be on the lookout for those people who do illegal connections, because quite often our transformers are damaged because of illegal connections. And in the main, our people know who gets involved in this. And sometimes some of them do participate because they want to bypass the whole process of having to pay for electricity. And I often urge our people to be more focused on doing things the right way. And if people cannot pay for instance, for electricity, there is the indigent process that is in place that can enable people to get electricity subsidized by the state. Thank you Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We'll proceed to the second supplementary question from the IFP, Honorable Cadre.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson, Your Excellency, Mr. President. Water utility authorities across the country have warned that the high levels of load shedding are having an impact on water supply operations, and some areas may have low or no water pressure as a result. This is due to the fact that many areas require water to be pumped into a reservoir, and with high levels of load shedding, these reservoirs are unable to be sustainably filled. I would like to know what is government planning to do to reduce the effect of load shedding on these pump stations. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. There are discussions that continue between ESCOM and water supply entities and also local government with regard to ensuring that load shedding does not necessarily in the end impact negatively on pump stations. There are some local government entities or local governments who have already set up generators to ensure that when there is load shedding, it does not stop or interfere negatively with their processes of the waterworks or pump stations. Others don't have that capacity, and that is why we're focusing more and more on reducing load shedding and also of getting ESCOM to try to exempt some of those areas where pump stations are negatively impacted. So it is an involved process, and fortunately our Minister of Electricity has taken this on board. It is something that he is also focusing on. So you raise an important point, and I know a number of municipalities have already started dealing with it themselves by having alternative power generation for those waterworks. And those who are not able to do so, we're working on an arrangement with ESCOM. But ultimately, as I've often said, the reduction of load shedding and final elimination of load shedding will be the answer. And I am confident that we will get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We now proceed to the third supplementary question from the EFF.
Chair, on a point of order.
It doesn't seem as if, oh.
Thank you. Chair, on a point,
are you raising?
I would like to rise on the point of order and ask if I may take this opportunity, as the EFF is not here, without jeopardizing the opportunity of the fourth question. Because nobody has, there is 4 questions, only 3 will be asked. There is a follow-up question that I would like to ask the President on that.
No. Honorable Nyambi, I think it's a difficult one because it's not the point of order, Honorable Member. The question of what do we do when a particular political party is not present at a sitting like this should be discussed in the WE party and sorted out at that kind of level. I'm sure Honorable Lapskak will agree.
Chairperson, yes, it should have been discussed in the WIPRI. It wasn't discussed in the WIPRI. There is an opportunity. With all due respect, the rules of the House says 3 follow-up questions can be asked. There is, what could be wrong in asking the President a question? If the President is willing to answer it, I can't see any reason for not asking the question.
Yes. No, what I'll do is to allow one or two members to make their comments, and I'll take it from the Nyambi.
Chair, I'm rising to say this is a hybrid sitting, and we agreed that we are going to accommodate people on the virtual platform, and we have allocated follow-up questions to different political parties. The problem that the Honorable Laboskachne is raising is going to create a nightmare to us here in the House, because which party is going to get the fourth question? The party has rightly so been allocated to EFF. Just because they are not in the House, and in terms of the ruling that we have made, it's in order and it's not going to create problems. Let us not compromise the decorum of what we have started in the House and continue with the questions, please.
Honorable Ryder, you are the last on this matter. Let's hear you.
Whoa. Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I think when in doubt, go back to the rules. And the rules state that the President or any minister will come and answer 4 follow-up questions. If we go back to pre-COVID time, we would select from the House, from the Chair would select from the front, would select who would be given an opportunity to make that follow-up question. I do understand this is a hybrid sitting. There's an arrangement that we came to whereby there would be a pre-allocation. But if that pre-allocation is not working, Chairperson, we should go back to what normal procedure is and what the rules say. So I believe that if the Chair is given space to chair the meeting, then the Chair has the right to choose who should be given that follow-up question in the absence of the allocated party. There's nowhere in the rules that says a question must be allocated to a party, and if that party is not here, that goes. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, no. No, thank you very much, Honorable Ryder. Honorable members, it has really become established practice that questions are allocated to parties. So I'll urge that and make a ruling that this matter be referred to the Rules Committee or the WIPAR for further conclusion. Thank you very much. We will then proceed to the DA, Honorable Christian. Honorable Christian.
Thank you. Honorable
EFF is not here, so we're asking you to please raise your question.
Honorable President, it was recently revealed that the government has spent 7 million rand from 1st of June 2019 to date, procuring and installing alternative power supply systems such as generators, inverters and solar systems at the official residences of ministers and deputy ministers. Can the President please inform the country why his government is prioritizing the provision of uninterrupted power supply to ministers and deputy ministers while hospitals, water, treatment facilities, sanitation facilities have come under strain due to persistent load shedding? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I would not characterize that as giving more priority to those either residences or places that you are referring to. Our hospitals, as I was saying, and our various other entities or places that provide essential services are being prioritized through what I said ESCOM is dealing with, because we have realized that in the end, the services should be provided on an uninterrupted basis, particularly to hospitals and other entities. So it's not a question of saying we will do this first to the exclusion of the other. And as I said in my original reply, a number of hospitals have actually been exempted or excluded from load shedding, More, up to 46, are now being looked at, and we expect that even many more are going to be looked at. So it's not one over the other. It is a process that is looking at particularly how load shedding impacts also on those who are in hospitals, and now I was talking about waterworks as well. So it's not making a choice over and above the other. So that is precisely what is happening. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We will now proceed to question 4. This question is on trimming cabinet. Trimming cabinet, and the question is from Honorable S.F. Detroit, and it's directed to the President. Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The size and configuration of the executive, that is the cabinet, is always guided by the needs of the country. At this moment in our country's history, when we have urgent and pressing developmental challenges and needs, when we have to undo the devastating legacy of the past, we need an active, capable, and developmental state. We need a state that has the resources and the capability and ability to tackle challenges like poverty, joblessness, homelessness, illiteracy, lack of social infrastructure, and a significant burden of disease. At the same time, account needs to be taken of available resources. Where it is possible to rationalize ministries, departments, and other state entities without affecting outcomes, we should be able to do so. At the start of this administration, in 2019, we reduced the number of ministries from 34 to 28. We combined a number of ministries. For example, we combined trade and industry with economic development, higher education and training with science and technology, environmental affairs with forestry and fisheries, agriculture with land reform and rural development, and among others. We need to recognize that the country's needs change over time, and we need to learn from our own lived experience. The 2 ministries I announced earlier this month respond to specific needs that our country has at this time. As I explained in the State of the Nation address, we need a minister to coordinate and drive our response to the electricity crisis. This is a temporary position, and the minister will remain in office for resolving the energy crisis. The second new ministry for planning, monitoring, and evaluation arises from an appreciation that we need a dedicated focus on ensuring that government effectively implements the programs that underpin our priorities and is able to fix problems as they arise. Now, neither of these ministries requires the establishment of new departments. The Minister of Electricity will work with the relevant departments and entities to coordinate the implementation of the Energy Action Plan. And the Minister of Planning and Monitoring and Evaluation will be responsible for the existing Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. We are forging ahead with the process we embarked upon at the start of this administration to build a capable state with entities that add value to government's program of action. In all this work, we are informed by evidence, experience, and availability of resources. We agree that we need an efficient and lean government, but if we become fixated by headcounts, we may lose sight of the point of having a capable state in the first place. So the capability of the state is what informs the approach that we have taken. And we do believe that it is going to yield good results. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We will now proceed to the first follow-up question from Honorable Dutoit.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable President, thank you for the answer. Honorable President, having ministers, deputy ministers, DGs, DDGs, managers in the same department and still these departments are not functioning effectively is a cause for concern. And one then have to think if the people that were appointed in these positions, if they are capable. You refer to us having a capable state, and that is being questioned because South Africa is in a dire state. The appointment of the Minister of Electricity, you yourself alluded to the fact that he will act as a very expensive, my addition, project manager, and that is also a great concern. Mr. President, in your initial answer, you said that initially some of these departments were merged or consolidated. I want to know if you would agree to a further merger of some of these departments. For instance, merging basic education with higher education to ensure that it's less departments, because we've got a lot of separate departments at this stage, and to do this in the interest of efficiency as well as a cost-saving measure to the country, because at this moment we do not have a capable state. Thank you, Honourable President.
Thank you very much, Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. And I think there should be appreciation for the fact that in 2019, as I said, we had 34 ministries. We've reduced that to 28, but we've added 2 new ministers. And in doing so, I did make it clear that we are continuing with the reconfiguration of the state. We are going to be looking at the functionality of the state in totality and looking at whether there should be further mergers of various state functions. Now, you state an interesting one. Basic education should be merged with higher education. Now, basic education has some 12 million young children and 25,000 schools. And higher education, having been merged with science and technology, has also made it much bigger, much as we have like 25 universities. Now, their remit is quite different, and they need to focus on the work that they have to do. But it's interesting that you raise it, because you are adding to the dialogue that we are continuing to have. And as I said, reconfiguration of the state is a process that we have embarked upon now. And yes, we will be moving more and more to a leaner government, but a much more efficient, capable, and effective government. We have admitted that, yes, the capability of the state is a big problem, and hence we have embarked on all these processes, including the framework on professionalizing the public service and looking at how government departments can be more effective. And everyone who is in the state sector is involved in beneficial work and serving our people, but we want them to do much more. But you've put an idea. I want to think about it, although I don't think it will work so well, though. I'd like you to put more ideas forward. So next time when I come, maybe you can put more ideas, or you and I can have a cup of tea and talk about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable President. The second follow-up question comes from Honourable Ryder.
I'll be nice this time, Mr. President. Thank you, Chairperson.
But you're always nice.
Mr. President, good afternoon. Your recent cabinet shuffle saw a continuation of the shift of ministers into the presidency.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Ramaphosa, the centralization of power into the presidency is a little bit concerning. Not, of course, because we don't trust you, but because it can only be because of three possible reasons, really, that you're doing that. So the first is that you don't trust your cabinet to work according to your expectations, and so you need to keep a close eye on them. The second possible reason is that you don't trust the leader of government business, Mr. Paul Mashatile, and I'll admit that that probably shows good judgment. But the last option, sir, is that it's because you fear scrutiny. And the ministers that are being brought under your presidency, under your umbrella, it doesn't give any portfolio committee in the National Assembly or select committee in the National Council of Provinces any oversight over these ministers and the work that they do. And this is especially worrying when we see the Minister of Electricity that's now operating without oversight, especially at a time that it's worrying like at the moment. So the question to you, Mr. President, then, is it option 1, 2, or 3? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable. How about option 4? And option 4 is to make government work much more effectively. And that is the option that I have gone for, to make sure that we work more effectively and serve the people of South Africa much better than we have. It's not a process of centralizing power. No, it's not that. It's not even driven by that. It's not even driven by the fact that I don't trust ministers. I trust all my ministers, and I trust the government, the leader of government business, my deputy president, and that's why he's appointed to that position. It's just about, and the oversight issue, there is oversight, and part of what I'm doing now is precisely that I stand here and you ask me questions and I answer written questions as well as oral questions. So there is oversight. So there's nothing that is taking place hidden under some table, and it's a process of creating a much more capable state. And the results will show, because we are, through having the various tasks in the presidency, ensuring that we work more effectively. I'll give you a very good example. One of the issues that I sought to have introduced is the district development model. Through the district development model, which maybe your party does not agree with, we are having more integrated government. Government has for many, many years worked in silos, and we're breaking down the silos, and through these various processes in the presidency, we're breaking down those silos. A good example is the Energy Action Plan. It brings together every department so that we can get rid of load shedding. And the Minister of Electricity is working with various departments as he executes his task. So this is working, and it will continue to strengthen our government. It's about strengthening government and ensuring that we have a capable state. That's what it is all about, and nothing else. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The next follow-up question is question 3 is a follow-up question from the EFF. EFF. They are not here, so we'll move on. The next question comes from Honorable Mahlangu, replacing Honorable Malika.
Angithokoze kuwe mhlali ngaphambili ngilochise ngokuzithoba nokuhlonipha kakhulu kumongameli weSouth Africa. Honorable President, in our view, the key deciding factor about the configuration and size of cabinet are critical tasks of the National Reconstruction and Development Agenda at any given time. We welcome your appointment of the Minister of Electricity and the planning, monitoring and evaluation to address the burning challenges of electricity crisis and the fragmented planning across sector departments and spheres of government. Having said that, Chairperson, can the Honorable President elaborate on the key indicators against which the continuation or discontinuation of the Ministry of Electricity will be determined, especially in the light of the President's announcement that this is temporary arrangement or project-focused arrangement? I think this is towards your fourth option, President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Indeed, it is about the fourth option, which I think Honorable Ryder also finally agreed to. The focus of the Minister of Electricity is really to, as I said, to ensure that we reduce and finally eliminate load shedding. That is his remit. And already he's hit the ground running. He's been to many power stations. And in the end, when we will have increased our energy available factor at a higher level, when load shedding is a history, then of course we have other plans for him as well going forward. Because as I said, this is a transitory ministry that is focused on load shedding. Now, we want load shedding to be gone in months so that our people can go back to a state of having energy and power in their homes, in their factories, and all over. So that is the main focus, to reduce and finally to eliminate load shedding. Now, he's busy with a number of processes, working on a number of plans to ensure that we get to that state. Obviously, it will take some time, and we are heartened by the level of understanding that you are articulating, that yes, this was a necessary step. Initially, not everyone agreed with the notion of having a Minister of Electricity, but with time, people are beginning to see the real need, because we are focusing on this major problem. And I did say this was the key priority that we need to look at as we come to the end of the administration. So I do believe that it will work, and in terms of our fourth option, that's precisely what we are focusing on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We now proceed to question 5. Question 5 is on greylisting of South Africa. Greylisting of South Africa. The question is from Honorable Labuschagne. It's directed to the President.
Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, in 2019, South Africa underwent a mutual evaluation of its anti-money laundering and combating of the financing of terrorism system. The evaluation was undertaken together with the Financial Action Task Force, which is a global body that aims to tackle global money laundering and terrorist funding. Since the publication of the mutual evaluation report in October of 2021, government has been working with its various authorities to address deficiencies that were identified in the report. The Financial Action Task Force acknowledged in its February 2023 plenary media statement the significant progress that has been made by South Africa to address most of the 67 recommended actions identified in our mutual evaluation. Such progress included the passage of 2 key acts at the end of December 2022, namely the General Laws Anti-Money Laundering and Combating Terrorism Financing Amendment Act and the Protection of Constitutional Democracy Against Terrorism and Related Activities Amendment Act. As a result, our agreed action plan has now been reduced to 8 focus areas. These areas relate largely to the effectiveness of our authorities in implementing the various elements of our anti-money laundering and combating of the financing of terrorism system. The Cabinet has established an interdepartmental committee to continue the work to ensure that the country addresses all outstanding deficiencies. The committee is supporting the relevant authorities, amongst other things, demonstrate an increase in the investigation and prosecution of serious, complex money laundering and terrorism financing, an increase in mutual legal assistance requests to other countries, an increase in the use of financial intelligence by law enforcement agencies, and the effective implementation of targeted financial sanctions. A period of time is needed to demonstrate improvements on the outstanding deficiencies that have been identified. It is estimated that the country needs at least 6 months to demonstrate whether the recent amendments adopted by Parliament in December are effective. It is our hope that South Africa will make sufficient and good progress by next year to be removed from the grey list. It is our intention that we should be removed from that grey list, and we are working very hard towards that end. Thank you, Chairperson.
No, thank you very much, Honourable President. We'll now move on to the first supplementary question from Honourable Labuskaghni.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Honourable President, at one point you said that this grey listing is an opportunity for us to get our house in order. But, Mr. President, you are part of the problem because you accepted dirty dollars that got into this country illegally. So how do you, with any credibility, stand up here on nationally and internationally and explain to us how we are going to get out of this grey listing when you are part of the problem?
Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. The processes that are underway are involving a number of agencies and institutions to look at the matter that you are referring to. And I think we should wait for that process to be concluded, to come to the type of conclusion that you are alluding to. Because I have publicly said I'm willing, prepared to cooperate, and have done so, and some of those institutions have even said so. So let us wait for that whole process to be done with and to be concluded before we reach the conclusion that you are alluding to. And I will continue to say there is no dirty dollars, and I have said in various statements that this has been a result of a transaction as a farmer that I am who has sold game, and that process is being thoroughly looked at, And I think having opened myself to cooperate with those institutions, we should wait until all those institutions come to a conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We'll now proceed to the second supplementary question from the ANC, Honorable BP.
I love you too, Babas. Ngiyabonga sihlalo wendlu ohloniphekileyo. Ngibingelele kuwena Mongameli Baba. Hayi, Mongameli umphendule kahle umhlonishwa obekupheka ngemibuso. Siyabonga lapho. Honorable President, as we would know that South Africa has never ever failed its international obligation and are therefore confident the same will apply with the necessary steps to be undertaken to set the conditions for delisting of South Africa, as the President has outlined. Now the question, Baba, President. What steps has government considered to mobilize the key stakeholders that are critical for the resolutions of the key actions for delisting? Constantly communicate with our people about the progress moving forward. Ngiyabonga Baba.
Honorable President.
Thank you, Chairperson. Ngiyabonga Mama. Let me say, the process that we have embarked upon is quite a comprehensive and extensive process. It involves a number of government institutions, because once we started this process and did the evaluation together with the Financial Action Task Force, we realized that there were gaps, and hence we moved with speed to come to Parliament to have those two acts or amendments to be effected. Now there are those others that we still need to do. We're moving with speed, and it involves various government entities. And we've made a great deal of progress because of those that are left, only 8, and we are working on them. It involves the Treasury, and the Treasury is leading the process. The Presidency is also involved in making sure that we move ahead with greater speed, and obviously the various other institutions, including the Fusion Center. So we will be able to give line of sight to our people, as it affects many of our people, to detail precisely the measures that we are taking and the various steps, because our intention is to get out of the grey listing so that everyone can know that we have addressed all these issues that have to do with money laundering as well as financing of terrorism, because we do treat what the FATF has put forward to us with a great deal of seriousness, as we are a signatory of these international bodies, including FATF. So we want to comply, we want to achieve precisely what they have said to us. So steps are being taken, and they are quite extensive and involved. So I'm sure that within the stated period, Honourable Chairperson, we should be able to achieve the goal that we have set for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable President. The third supplementary question comes from Honourable Cadre from the IFP.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Your Excellency, Mr. President, it is reported that one of the key factors that led to South Africa's grey listing by the Financial Action Task Force is the lack of prosecutions for high-level financial crimes such as state capture. Your Excellency, are you able to give details on what is being done by government through the Hawks and the SIU to help get South Africa off the greylisting and comply with international standards for investigation of financial crimes? Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable President.
Honorable Chairperson, yes, they did highlight, FATF did highlight the issue of slow prosecutions, as they had expected that there would be a heightened number of prosecutions, particularly flowing from the Zondo Commission. The NPA is at work on this matter. The Hawks are kept busy on this matter, and indeed the investigative directorate is also busy on this matter. They are working full-time, and we've also capacitated them. We've also given them a number of resources. They have been able to also recruit a number of skilled people within their own ranks so that they can be much more effective. One of the problems that they had was the lack of more skilled people, and they approached us as government and said they need resources, and the Minister of Justice was able to advocate for more resources for them. So that has been done, and they are now busy, really busy, with various investigations, preparing various prosecutions. But in the course of time, they have also been involved in recovering money that was lost. The money that was illegally paid has been recovered, and they continue to do precisely that. So progress is being recorded, and a number of prosecutions are also underway, but obviously they want to see more prosecutions, and those will be coming in due course. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The next supplementary questions come from the EFF. EFF, it doesn't seem as if they're present, so we'll have to move on. So the last question, Honorable President, is question number 6. This question is on removal of interprovincial red tape. Removal of interprovincial red tape. And the question is from Honorable Mandla Gai, and is directed to the President. Honorable Gai. Huh? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's President.
Thank you. I was wondering for a minute.
Because it's virtual, so.
Yes.
Okay, Honorable President.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, the red tape reduction team that we set up in the presidency, led by Mr. Sipho Nkosi, has prioritized dealing with red tape that constrains economic activity. This includes reviewing the regulatory burden on informal enterprises and traders that operate in townships and rural areas. In addition, various initiatives are underway across government to improve the ease of doing business. The Department of Small Business Development established an interprovincial task team to address the issue of interprovincial red tape. This process has identified substantial gaps in dealing with red tape reduction at the provincial level and has worked closely with provinces to address this. The absence in some provinces of formal structures and functions Programming and interventions require high levels of collaboration and coordination between multi-stakeholders, which is not always achieved. The Department of Small Business Development has identified 29 pieces of legislation that negatively affect small businesses across the 3 spheres of government, which are currently being prioritized for action. The Department of Trade and Industry and Competition and Invests SA undertake capacity building for various public entities at a provincial level on investment promotion and aftercare services. We expect, Honourable Chairperson, that every department and every level of government should be involved in the process of reducing red tape as a key enabler to growing our economy. And it is this level of consciousness that we are raising across government, that as a developmental state, we should focus more and more on reducing red tape, various constraints that impede the growth of our economy and the creation of jobs. Sometimes we seem to have these red tape measures just for the sake of formality and losing our focus on being able to be a developmental state and having the ability to create jobs and ensuring that our economy grows. So this is a task that is underway, and having appointed a person from the private sector who is helping us to focus on reduction of red tape, I do believe that having identified and continuing to identify the number of areas that constrain the ease of doing business, we will be able to make more and more progress. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
No, thank you very much, Honourable President. The initial question was asked by Honourable Khai, but there were changes made. So Honourable Shodi will respond
Thank you,
by asking the first supplementary question.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson and Honourable President, for your detailed report. My follow-up question, Honourable President, is you have identified a red tape as a critical factor that undermines the ease of doing business and economic growth. As we welcome your bold step of appointing experts to assist government in addressing this red tape, Honourable President, my question is, what are the key successes that the government can claim, especially since the appointment of Mr. Siponkos Kialebua? Thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. The process of getting rid of red tape is quite complex because it is intertwined with things such as laws, such as protocols, such as rules, and a whole number of other processes. It's a maze. And what we have been able to succeed in doing, for instance, is to identify these 28 pieces of legislation that impede the ease of doing business, and also being able to say we now need to address those and ensure that they are either amended or attended to. Now, the process of even coming to Parliament is an elongated one. It takes us forever, almost up to 3 years, to amend laws or to pass laws. And we have been involved in this process, and it's been a great benefit to have this type of facility in the presidency, because it enables us to look right across the whole sphere of government at national, provincial, and local level. And if you just imagine the strictures and the constraints at local government level alone, where small and medium enterprise actors are not able to operate, to trade, and to do a whole number of things where they need to get permit after permit after permit before they operate, you then begin to realize what an involved task it is. Now, we are not saying people should act illegally, but we are saying that we should enable people who want to be in business, to operate businesses and employ people. We should facilitate that process. We should enable them to be able to do that rather than constrain them and stand in their way because of this permit, or that rule. And I've given a number of examples in the past where just ordinary people in our communities want to either sell their products or whatever, and they're constrained. They're told that you need this permit, you need this permission and all that. So successful countries are able to remove many constraints, and they just unleash business activity that leads to employment. That is precisely where we want to be, without people transgressing the law. And I believe that we will get there. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The second supplementary question comes from the EFF. EFF? It doesn't seem as if they are here. So they are not here. We'll move on then to FF Plus, Honorable De Bruin.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable President, with regards to the removal of the interprovincial red tape reduction that pertains to the rural and township economic development, in that areas, Honorable President, what would you say the implications would be, for example, the number of food stands and outlets and the regulations thereof? By the Department of Health, for example, and will these departments still be able to regulate the influx in the number of new businesses as a result of the reduction of the red tape? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Yes, the Department of Health and obviously other departments play a key role in all this. For instance, with provision or sale of food, clearly the Department of Health has to be involved, and we obviously need to ensure that the regulations that deal with the provision or the sale of safe nutrition to our people have to be complied with. But it should not lead to so many permits that have to be obtained before a person can trade. So they have a role to play. And the other problem, of course, that leads to red tape is the time it takes to obtain those types of permissions. Sometimes it takes an inordinately long time before anybody can get a permit. And we are saying those permits that are necessary, such as, for instance, health, for food, need to be processed much quicker. And we are finding that permits, licenses tend to take far too long to be obtained. And that is what kills business, that is what impedes business. And we want to be an entrepreneurial state that can act quickly, where it is peremptory to get a license or a permit, you should be able to apply and get it quickly. We're not saying those should be gotten rid of. The necessary ones should be still in place. So timeous action in as far as removing red tape is one of the key determinants. And if we can get that right and get our public servants to be able to process these things quickly, we should be able to unleash business activity in our country, which can lead to job creation. Many people have money to invest, And because it takes so long, they then start redirecting the money that they would have invested to other activities which may not be job creation type of activities. So quick action on our part will enhance the ability of businesses to invest. And that is what will even make us more attractive to other investors, whether local or offshore. They will say that we do things quickly. We have made great success, for instance, in the registration of companies. It used to take a long time to do so. We've made great success, for instance, in obtaining water licenses. It used to take almost a year, even up to 3 years. We can now process those licenses within a short space of time. That is precisely what getting rid of red tape is. It's not saying, don't go and get a water license. We say, let it be issued, taking everything into account as quickly as possible. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The fourth supplementary question comes from Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. Good afternoon, Honourable President. And thank you for being in the House today. And I hope your ministers follow suit. Honourable President, before I ask my question, at the end, after the question, will you clarify whether we are a developmental state or an entrepreneurial state? Honourable President, in a debate on the same topic as this question on the 16th of March this year, the point was made that the Western Cape Province Red Tape Reduction Unit resulted or yielded positive results, namely savings and benefits amounting to 1,083 billion between 2015 and 2019. Are these results achieved in other provinces? If not, why not? And why is it that the Western Cape is the only province striving to ensure an ease of doing business? And before you answer, I can tell you why. You've just said there's a lot of money wanting to be invested. And I'm telling you that money is being invested in the Western Cape because where we govern well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable President.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I think this notion of the Western Cape trying to excise itself out of South Africa should really stop. What we do as a government, and I think I'd like you to listen to this carefully, what we do as a government, we do for all provinces. We don't single out one province and say, this province is the darling province of all provinces. When we say we want to create a climate for investments to flow in, we do it for all provinces. We do it for all provinces, and wherever we go, we say, come and invest in South Africa, and we identify.
Honourable Lamskakhin, why don't we allow the President to finish?
I raise in a point of privilege, and want to know when the President answered this question, if I can ask him a question on the response that he gave now. Thank you. I just want to know if he's going to give the Western Cape the 20,000 police officers they are lacking.
No. Of course, that question is ruled off. It doesn't really assist the process, and in fact, it's not even a point of privilege. It's really something else. Honourable President, please respond.
In exactly, I think, a week or so, we will be holding our fifth investment conference. And at that investment conference, we will be inviting investors to come and invest in all of South Africa. That's our mission. And that's why I say I'd like you to remove this notion that the Western Cape is different from other provinces, because it isn't. And when we mobilize investments, when we create a climate that is conducive for investment, we do it for all provinces. You ask a specific question. Are other provinces doing the same? It may well be that they have not really counted the way that the Western Cape has, but I know for a fact provinces, all our provinces, are doing a great deal of work in reducing red tape. You go to the Northern Cape, they've already attracted 100 billion rand in a new sector of our economy, renewable energy. They are now going for hydrogen. And Gauteng has been perfecting the township economy. They've even passed a law. They've done that, and it is something that the Western Cape should learn from as well, because we would like to see the townships here in the Western Cape brimming of businesses that will have been created here. KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, and Northwest, you name all our provinces, they are doing a whole range of different things. I am going to, at the PCC meeting, where I bring together all provinces, I'm going to be asking the provinces to showcase what they are doing so that each province can learn from the other. The Western Cape also has to learn from what other provinces are doing and do them as well as they can. So all of South Africa is what we promote, including the Western Cape. The Western Cape's ability to have attracted business, just like the Northern Cape, is due to our efforts as a national government. So it's all very well to say, well, the Western Cape is doing much better. Of course we are pleased, but we want all our provinces to know that as national government, we support them all, and we support them equally. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. As you take your seat.
Thank you.
As the President takes his seat, let me take this opportunity to thank the President for attending this important NCOP sitting and for having answered the questions. I'd also like to thank Premier Lissufi for being with us until the end. This appreciation also goes to MECs, all permanent as well as special delegates, for availing themselves. Honorable delegates, there being no other business, the House is now adjourned.
Just remember, members, it's constituency.
Wow, that's lovely.
And for you, I end the session. in our review meeting.